full. I want to talk to you today about something that's going to protect your peace, your purpose, and your destiny. Don't share your personal life with just anyone. Full. We live in a world where everything is so public, where people post every detail of their lives online, what they're eating, who they're dating, where they're going. Full. But let me tell you, some things are too precious to be put on display. Privacy is a powerful tool that protects your purpose. Too often, we're taught that in order to succeed, we have to share every little detail of our journey with the world. We feel pressured to explain our dreams, our plans, and the steps we're taking. But the truth is, not everything is meant to be shared. When you keep certain things private, you're actually protecting what's most important to you, your purpose, your vision, and your peace. When you share too much, you open yourself up to criticism, doubt, and opinions that aren't aligned with your destiny. People may not understand your vision, and they may try to sway you off course with their doubts or negative thoughts. But when you keep things close to your heart, you're able to stay focused on what God has called you to do. Your purpose is sacred, and it requires a level of protection. It's like a seed that's planted in the ground. If you expose it to the harsh elements too soon, it won't have the chance to grow. But when you nurture it in secret, it has the space to take root, grow strong, and eventually bear fruit for the world to see. There's wisdom in knowing that not everyone needs to know everything. Just because someone asks about your plans or your next step doesn't mean you have to share. You have the right to keep certain parts of your life private, especially when you're still in the process of growing. Your dreams are between you and God, and He's the one who will guide you, protect you, and bring them to fruition. People may not always understand the journey you're on, and that's okay. Your purpose isn't for everyone to see from the start. It's meant to unfold in God's timing, not according to others' expectations. When you share your life too freely, you might find that people's reactions are not always supportive. Some may criticize, others may doubt, and some may even try to steer you in a different direction. But when you keep your purpose to yourself, you protect your peace. You avoid unnecessary distractions and keep your focus on what's most important. You can move forward with confidence, knowing that God is guiding your steps, even when no one else knows the full picture. Remember, privacy doesn't mean isolation. It's not about shutting people out. It's about being discerning with who gets access to your heart and your vision. There are people who will understand, support, and walk alongside you, and there are others who won't. That's why it's so important to protect what's precious. When your purpose is under construction, it's better to keep it under wraps until it's fully formed. The less you share, the less you open yourself up to unnecessary criticism, and the more you can focus on what God is doing behind the scenes. So, guard your privacy. Protect your purpose. Don't feel the need to explain every step of your journey or justify your decisions to others. Your purpose is too valuable to be diluted by the opinions of those who don't understand it. Keep it close to your heart, and trust that God will reveal it to the world at the perfect time. When the time is right, your results will speak for themselves, and everyone will see the incredible work God has done in your life. Not everyone deserves access to your life. We live in a world where everyone has an opinion, and it can feel like everyone wants to know your business. Social media, friends, family, and even strangers can seem to demand details about your life, your dreams, and your plans. But here's the reality. Not everyone is meant to be a part of your journey, and not everyone should know everything about you. This is a lesson that can protect your heart and allow you to walk confidently in your purpose. When you share too much, you're opening yourself up to vulnerability. It's not just about telling people your plans or goals. It's about letting them into places of your life that should remain sacred. Everyone has their own agenda, their own biases and their own perspectives. When you open up too much, some may not support you in the way you need. Some may criticize, others may doubt, and others might even try to steer you in a direction that's not aligned with your calling. Not everyone who asks about your life is asking with good intentions. Some people may be curious, but others might be looking for ways to tear you down or even just to gossip. Think about the people you trust most in your life. Aren't they the ones who have earned your trust over time? They've proven themselves to be loyal, understanding, and supportive. These are the people who should have access to the most intimate parts of your journey. They are the ones who will encourage you when times get tough and help you stay grounded when the road ahead seems uncertain. But even they don't need to know every detail of your path. You don't have to explain every step you take, especially if you're still figuring things out. The beauty of personal growth is that it's a process. And sometimes the process is meant to be kept between you and God until it's ready to be shared with the world. Not everyone will understand your calling, your purpose, or the decisions you make. And that's perfectly okay. When you recognize this, you gain freedom. You can focus on what matters, your relationship with God, your personal growth, and your vision, without being distracted by others' opinions. You'll realize that your life doesn't have to be an open book for everyone to read. What's meant to be seen will be seen at the right time, and those who need to be a part of your journey will be there. Sometimes protecting your life from certain people is an act of self-care. It's about preserving your peace, your joy, and your mental space. You don't need to constantly explain yourself or justify your decisions. The more you share, the more you expose yourself to criticism. The less you share, the more you maintain control over your narrative. You don't need to explain why you're pursuing your dreams or why you're choosing a certain path. Your purpose is between you and God, and He'll make sure the right people know the right things at the right time. So be selective, be discerning, protect what's precious to you. Not everyone deserves access to your life, and that's okay. You have the right to keep certain things private. Focus on your journey, and trust that those who are meant to be part of it will find their way in. And when the time is right, you won't have to explain a thing. They'll already see the greatness unfolding in your life. When you move in silence, your results speak louder than words. In a world where we're constantly encouraged to share every achievement, every step, and every intention, there is immense power in letting your actions do the talking. Sometimes it's not about explaining what you're doing or trying to gain validation from others. It's about trusting the process, staying focused on the goal, and letting your success speak for itself. Think about the most successful people you know, or those you admire. Often, the ones who achieve the most aren't the ones who are constantly talking about their plans or broadcasting their every move. They're the ones who are quietly working behind the scenes, staying true to their purpose, and letting their results be the evidence of their hard work. There's an undeniable strength in silently building, growing, and evolving without the need for outside approval. When you share too much too soon, you risk inviting unnecessary distractions into your life. People may question your choices, give unsolicited advice, or even doubt your ability to succeed. But when you keep things close to the chest, when you focus on the work and let your results be the proof of your efforts, there's a sense of peace that comes with it. You don't have to seek approval or explanation from anyone else. Your success becomes the loudest voice in the room. This doesn't mean you don't have support or people who care about your journey. It means that you understand the value of timing. Full. You understand that not everyone needs to know your next move. Not everyone needs to understand your vision. And not everyone needs to be a part of the process. Full. The world doesn't need to know your every step to recognize the greatness of your end result. It's easy to get caught up in the idea of needing external validation. Full. We live in a culture where we're often praised for sharing, for being open, for showing our vulnerability. And while there's value in connection and transparency, there's also something incredibly powerful about letting your work speak for itself. When you let your results speak louder than words, you eliminate the need for explanations and you remove the pressure to justify your journey. You create space for your accomplishments to shine without interference. The truth is, actions will always speak louder than words. When you accomplish something great, people will notice. They'll see the results of your hard work, and they'll understand the dedication, focus, and perseverance that went into it. You don't need to tell everyone what you're doing, Your achievements will do that for you. And when that time comes, when your results are undeniable, those who doubted you or questioned your path will have no choice but to acknowledge the success you've achieved. So, move in silence. Focus on your goals, keep working hard, and let your success speak for itself. When the time is right, your results will be the loudest testimony to your efforts. You don't have to explain, justify, or seek approval. Just keep moving forward and let your accomplishments shine in their own time. God works in secret before He rewards in public. This is a powerful principle to understand as you walk in purpose and pursue your goals. In the quiet, behind-the-scenes moments, God is shaping and preparing you for what's ahead. You don't always see it, and others may not see it either. But that doesn't mean it's not happening. The work God does in private is just as important, if not more, than the rewards that come in public. When you look at the lives of many biblical figures, you see this truth unfold. Take David, for example. Before he was anointed king, he spent years in the fields tending sheep. No one knew who he was. No one recognized his potential, but God was preparing him in secret. He was learning how to protect the flock, how to fight for what was his, and how to be faithful in the small things. God didn't announce to the world that David would be king before he was ready. He worked in the quiet spaces, molding David's heart and character so that when the time came, he would be prepared to lead. Think about Jesus too. His ministry didn't begin with a grand announcement. He spent years living in obscurity, working as a carpenter, preparing for the mission that would change the world. The miracles, the teachings, the public ministry didn't start until God knew the timing was right. Jesus spent those hidden years being shaped and strengthened for what he would face later. God was working in secret, behind the scenes, preparing him for the great work ahead. This is how God works in your life too. There are seasons when it feels like nothing is happening, like your prayers are unheard, like the work you're doing is unseen. But in those private moments, God is refining you. He's testing your character, building your resilience, teaching you patience, and growing your faith. It may feel like you're putting in work that no one notices, but don't be discouraged. Those private moments are preparing you for something much bigger. In today's world, we live in a society that values instant gratification. We want to see results right now, and we're conditioned to think that success should be public and visible immediately. But the truth is, lasting success isn't built in the spotlight. It's built in the hidden moments. It's in the quiet obedience when no one is watching, the consistency when no one is applauding, and the faithfulness when it feels like nothing is changing. God has a way of working in secret that leads to public rewards. Just as the seed grows underground before it produces fruit, Your efforts, your character, your purpose are being developed in the unseen moments. Full. And when the time is right, God will bring you into the public light. Full. The reward will be greater than you can imagine because it's been built on a solid foundation of faithfulness, perseverance, and trust in His timing. So, full. Don't be discouraged if it feels like you're in a hidden season. Keep trusting, keep working, and keep doing the right thing, even when no one is watching. Full. God sees what you're doing in secret, and in His perfect time, He will reward you publicly. Keep doing the work, keep believing. Full. And know that God is always preparing you for the amazing things He has in store for you. Even Jesus didn't try to convince everyone. This is such a powerful truth. Full. And it's something we can all learn from. In a world where we're often taught to seek approval, to explain ourselves, full, and to try to convince others of our worth and purpose, it's important to remember that not everyone is going to understand your journey. And that's okay. Full. Jesus Himself didn't try to convince every person He encountered, and neither should we. Full. Jesus' ministry wasn't about winning over every crowd or convincing every person He met. He knew that not everyone would accept Him. Full. Not everyone would understand His mission, and not everyone would follow His path. There were people who loved Him, people who hated Him, and people who were indifferent. Full. But Jesus stayed focused on His purpose, and He didn't waste time trying to convince those who were not ready to hear or receive what He had to offer. In fact, full. Jesus often kept things quiet. He would heal someone, but He would tell them not to tell anyone. He would perform miracles, full, but He didn't do it for the sake of gaining popularity or convincing people of His power, full. He understood that His purpose wasn't about impressing people or gaining their approval. His purpose was about fulfilling the mission that God had given Him, full. And He wasn't going to be distracted by people who weren't ready to hear the message. This is a lesson we can apply to our own lives, full. There will always be people who don't understand what you're doing, who question your decisions, or who think you're headed in the wrong direction. Full. You don't need to waste your energy trying to convince them otherwise. Your journey is between you and God. Full. You don't owe anyone an explanation for why you're doing what you're doing or why you're following the path that God has laid before you. Sometimes, full, we get caught up in the need to explain ourselves to others. We feel like we have to justify our decisions, defend our dreams, full, or convince people that what we're doing matters. But the truth is, you don't need to do that. Jesus didn't convince everyone, and neither should you. Full. Some people are just not going to understand your calling or your purpose, and that's okay. The right people will see it. The right people will understand it, full. And the right people will support it. You don't need to explain your faith, your vision, or your goals to everyone you meet. The more you try to convince others, full, the more you risk losing focus on your true mission. Instead, stay true to your calling and let your actions speak for themselves. Let your work, your character, full, and your consistency be the proof of who you are and what you're about. Remember, God didn't call you to convince everyone. He called you to fulfill your purpose, full, to walk in faith and to trust Him with the journey. The right people will see what you're doing. They'll recognize the anointing on your life, full, and they'll be drawn to your light. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Just stay focused on the path God has set before you, full, and trust that He will lead you to the people who need to see and hear your message. So, stop wasting energy trying to convince people who aren't ready to understand. Full, Jesus didn't do it, and neither should you. Keep moving forward, stay faithful to your calling, and trust that the right people will find you when the time is right. Full. Your journey is not about convincing others. It's about fulfilling God's plan for your life. You're not being rude, you're being wise. For in a world that demands openness and full transparency, There's a certain strength and wisdom in knowing when to keep things to yourself. It's important to understand that choosing not to share every detail of your personal life, your plans, or your dreams doesn't make you unkind or closed off. It makes you discerning and protective of your peace and purpose. Too often, we feel pressure to explain ourselves, to justify our choices, or to reveal parts of our lives just to make others comfortable. But sometimes, withholding certain information is the smartest and most respectful decision you can make, not just for yourself, but for the other person as well. Not everyone needs to know everything about you, and not everyone will understand or appreciate what you're doing. Some may judge, criticize, or offer advice that doesn't align with your vision. In those moments, it's wise to hold your peace. Think about it. The people who truly care about you and your well-being are the ones who will respect your boundaries. They'll support you even when they don't know every detail. They'll trust you not because you've shared everything, but because they believe in your judgment and the path you're walking. When you choose to keep certain parts of your life private, you're not being rude or secretive. You're simply setting healthy boundaries that allow you to stay focused on your goals and protect your peace. It's essential to remember that not every question demands an answer, and not every conversation needs to be fully transparent. Sometimes, people may ask about your personal life out of genuine curiosity or concern, but the truth is, they don't always need the full picture. There's a difference between sharing what's necessary and oversharing. You don't have to expose your inner world to every person who asks. You have the right to keep some things to yourself. This doesn't make you less trustworthy or less open. It just means you're protecting your heart and your peace. Think about it from this perspective. If you were constantly sharing every detail of your life, you would open yourself up to judgment, unwanted opinions, and even unwarranted comparisons. People might not understand your journey, and their reactions could distract you or make you second guess yourself. When you withhold certain aspects of your life, you shield yourself from unnecessary drama or negativity. You maintain control over your narrative and ensure that you are not influenced by the voices of others, but instead by your own values, principles, and vision. Choosing to keep your personal life private is an act of wisdom because it shows that you understand the value of your energy, your thoughts, and your dreams. It means you know what's worth sharing and what's not. It shows you have the maturity to discern who deserves access to your heart and mind. Not everyone is capable of handling the truth about your life, and that's okay. It doesn't mean they're bad people. It just means they're not the right people to share that part of you with. So, next time you feel pressured to explain yourself or to give in to the expectation of full disclosure, remember you don't have to. You're not being rude. You're being wise. You're protecting your peace, your purpose, and your energy. And in doing so, you are positioning yourself to live a life that is focused, intentional, and free from unnecessary distractions. Keep your boundaries intact, stay true to yourself, and know that your wisdom in knowing when to speak and when to remain silent will lead to greater clarity, peace, and success. So be wise, be selective, be intentional. Keep your personal life personal, not out of fear, but out of faith. Because when you protect what's private, you allow God to do what He does best, bless you in ways that no one saw coming. The less they know, the more He shows. And your reward will be greater than anything you could have ever explained.